Sent home was a fun time because watching him run the bases, and he had a great play where I wrote about this today. Is like Vaughn got from first to third on a Michael Harris, just like little bloop. I don't know. Did you watch the game last night, John?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Well, it was 7.5 hours long because there was an hour and 15-minute rain delay, and then the Braves had like I think was this the 6th inning or 7th inning when it broke open, but that was like an hour, and it was like we were looking at like 2.5 hours. In like
the part I did see was about that rain delay because the Mets finally did the kind of thing they would have done in recent years, which was to put Carlos Carrasco back in after an hour and 15-minute rain delay, and then he gets hurt like 5 minutes later. But
he did not come back in.
Yeah, so
and now he's out.
I mean, this series is still happening. The second game in it's going to start in about half an hour from when we're talking.
Yes.
This, I believe, is the last time these two teams meet until close to the end of September, correct?
Yeah, because it's another 4-gamer.
So this is really... It's not Atlanta's last chance to force the division, but this is a series that... obvious thing is obvious. They pretty much have to win in order to keep their... They have to win this series to keep their division odds alive. I mean, Fangraphs odds right now before this... last night have this currently as Mets ahead percentage-wise by 86.8 to 13. So take back this series will basically end the NL East if the Mets win it. So
I don't know about that, John. I mean, I will say, here's what sucks: is the Braves the Astros right after. So this whole week is just a murderer's row.
Well, and that's part of the thing.
In the same week.
Well, that's part of the thing with the projections we have too. Is it's noting into account like the season schedule is not favorable, and at this point in the season, like 3 or 4 games against the Astros, however many it is, that's already a significant chunk of season left. And I don't know like fully what the Braves schedule looks like. We have them with a strength of schedule of 504, which is considerably higher than the Mets, who have a 488 strength of schedule projected for the rest of the season. So our projections think the Mets have an easier schedule down the stretch. That is obviously going to be huge because, I mean, right now it is a 4.5. It's a 4.5 game gap, and I don't think most people would look at that and go, oh, well, that's like 80. We have it as 87%, I think, for the Mets to win the division. It's like, oh, that's not, the end, but it's pretty dang close. And how many more games are left in the series? Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's it?
No, Thursday too.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so if the Mets win 2 of those 3, this would be a 6.5 game lead again with about 5 weeks to go. No, maybe like 6, closer to 6. That's just not a lot of time to make that up, especially when they only have a handful of head-to-head games left at this point.
Well, how many more times can we throw Spencer Strider out there against the New York Mets? That's what people are wondering, because that man talked some shit last week and then backed it up, gets 5 innings, only 4 Ks. Not a big K night for the mustache legend.
Does that really count as backing it up? 5 innings, 4 strikeouts?
He came in, I mean, he could have gone out after Carrasco didn't come back out after the hour and 15-minute rain delay. Spencer came back out and was fine. Why
did the Braves do that? Why are they bringing their pitcher back out after an hour and 15-minute rain delay?
He's got that dog in him.
But that's the thing. Like, Atlanta really does want this division for obvious reasons. Like, we
want to do the whole streak all over again, the 14-year in a row. We want to start that all over.
Yeah, especially because as we're seeing from, as we've already seen with the postseason schedule coming out, like being that number 1 team and not having to do that. Not having to go through that wild card series, having to play 3 games and as many as 3 games in 3 days, and then immediately having to flip over into the division series just against a completely rested team. How far? I mean, the Dodgers are going to be the number 1 seed in the NL, no problem. But the only way the Braves make it to the number 2 seed is by winning the NL East, because otherwise it's the Mets. So you end up as that number 1 wild card. Now you're the number 4 seed. Now you're traveling to take on, or you're hosting. How did they set it? Is it 3-6 and 4-5?
I think so.
I've already it's funny that they put out the postseason schedule, and yet I still cannot for the life of me remember how the postseason actually works now. All they had to do was add 1 round, and I've already just been like, no, I'm lost. Like my brain could only handle 3 rounds at a time. 4 rounds is too many. This is my problem with the NCAA tournament too. There are too many rounds.
Yeah,
Make it
you're right.
faster.
It is 3-6-4-5.
It is 3-6-4-5. So if you're Atlanta, you win the top wild card. You are now looking at facing the number 2 wild card right off the bat, and that is going to be either Philly or San Diego. Do you want that in a short series? Do you want Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler in a short series?
No,
Do you want
Philly. Yeah, they're
like?
not worried about
I mean, either way, it's like point being.
I don't want San Diego.
Even more, it's like you just don't want to play in that series. You just do not want to play in that series. You do not want your season to come down to 2 games out of 3 against another very good team all in 3 days, then immediately have to flip and face, either the Mets or the Dodgers with no rest and in a series where you're going to have to use 4 pitchers or 4 starters, regardless. You're not going to be able to short it. Or not have to use 4 because it is still the best of 5. But regardless, it's a much harder road for the Braves to defend this World Series championship if they go in as a wild card again, or if they go in as a wild card rather.
Yeah, I don't know. I still just nothing would surprise me. If the Mets won this division, it would not surprise me. They're a very good team. The Braves won it. I also wouldn't be surprised. But I will say, like you said, tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, critical. I don't love that Scherzer and DeGrom are still on the docket for this week. But we'll see.
Yeah, the whole Jacob deGrom coming back from injury and immediately looking exactly like himself again. It'd be very interesting if his future just ends up being like he can only throw 80 innings a year because he does so max effort that it's impossible for him to throw more, but they're the 80 best innings anyone will throw in baseball that year. The reliever starter.
I was gonna say then just make it the all-time
Well, that's the thing.
Closer.
I don't think he can, and this is something I'm curious to see with DeGrom going forward, depending on health and a million other things, especially because he's already, I believe, 33, 34. He's already up there age-wise in terms of, baseball players, not the rest of us. It's funny, I had a moment I called Chris Bassett middle-aged or in his mid-30s. And so I was looking at my BP annual to look at my, I was trying to find my Tyler Soderstrom comment from last year because we're going to talk Shea Langoliers. I realized I'd called Chris Bassett going to his mid-30s. He's younger than I am. He's not even really in his mid-30s, and I made him sound ancient. But anyway.
Well, I mean, that's how we are as sports writers, John, is we're now in our mid-30s, and when we talk about, oh, man, are they really running out this old guy? Are they really doing this? And you're like, this person's my age. Or
you're like, they're talking about, we talk about Nelson Cruz, who is 42 years old, as if he is made of bones. Or, Albert Pujols, who's 41, and, the way he's treated within baseball is you expect them to give him a walker anytime he has to go to first base.
You're amazed that he gets out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, where it's how do you have this energy, old man? Shouldn't you be asleep by 6? And it's guys, he's not. He's only a few years older than us at this point.
Yeah.
But no, what I was gonna say is I don't think that the way DeGrom operates would function as a reliever because I don't think he can go max effort either for an extended period of time or in the burst that a reliever would need to do it. He'd have to throttle something back. That's why I'm super interested to see how things go and if he can continue doing this, because if he can actually do a full season of this, again, without injury, holy hell, that's the best pitcher in baseball by miles. That's insane to think about.
And no
I'll be very interested to see. Actually, he's basically throwing just 2 pitches right now, a fastball and a slider, except it's 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a 93-mile slider. Dude, it's really something watching Jacob deGrom pitch. I watched his start against the Phillies, and I was just, he does whatever he wants as a pitcher. It's something I feel like I haven't seen since Pedro. It's really special. So yes, that's not a fun thing to look forward to if you're a Braves fan.
But
Max Scherzer is the easier one to face.
But even with all that being said, it's still just fun. Important baseball is fun, and this time of year is fun.
Oh, yeah.
Just every inning. But I mean, last night was a blowout. But even still, you weren't it was just it just is important. It's appointment viewing. I'll have a DVR, and I'm gonna jump into it after we get off here. But it's just this is some of the best part of being a sports fan is just baseball in the fall. Is we're getting really, really close to that when your team's still in it, and now just that when the Mets are good, I think it's more fun for the Braves. This is fun. I like that the Mets and the Braves have this real rivalry, and you can tell that the Braves are just oh, same old Mets. We'll see it. We'll see if you can actually make it through. We've heard this so many years in a row that yeah, this is when you're turning the corner, this is when you're turning the corner, and then let's see. But this, obviously, like what we just talked about, it feels the most real. All that being said, Acuna's hot right now. Vaughn Grissom is a legitimate everyday player right now. You go up and down this lineup, our lineup is just...
Braves have a really good
stacked.
lineup. It's a really, really good lineup, even with having to deal with Marcell Ozuna. It's a good lineup.
And
they
he
really
was
are
not
not
in the lineup last night. Like
Yeah, I mean that's and like I don't know if Grissom is someone who is going to stick past when Albies gets back. I know
That's
there's I know there's that concern of what Albies is going to be when he gets back. He has not been the most consistent player at any point in the last 2 seasons, but no, this is a very, very good lineup right now, and it's a good lineup that actually has some usable flexibility and some youth in it. Like, I thought losing Adam Duvall was going to be killer, but they have the Robbie Grossman Eddie Rosario combo has worked pretty well. They have survived with Ozuna for the most part. Like, Contreras has been genuinely startable. Like, and like I mean the biggest part of it too, being Michael Harris just being able to come up and do what he's done straight out of Double-A and be not just a great defensive center fielder, but also be able to handle himself at the plate, be also able to steal bases. It's like shows genuine, legitimate power. Like, it's really a testament in part to Atlanta's player development, which is just very, very good. But yeah,
well,
this team
goes
is
back
just
to the teams when they're like, we want to burn it down, right? When teams are like, oh, we want to do the full teardown. It's like, well, if you don't have the organizational structure and the scouting department and just the right guys and power to identify that talent so that you can, because a lot of it's like, oh, it's lucky the Braves have now Grissom and Harris, who both skipped Triple-A and are both thriving immediately at the major league level. It's like, well, no, they still developed those guys. They still identified the right kind of guys who could make that jump. Everybody can do this thing, but it's more complicated than just acquire a bunch of great farm system guys and build it up. Like, it's more complicated than that.
I mean, we were talking about that with the Tigers last week with Avila, that, they're a prime example of what happens when you do a full teardown rebuild, but you don't have the staff and personnel in place.